Right, okay, so once again, I'm going to be doing this video without a script, except this time it's going to be with Jordan. Say hello, Jordan.
Hello.
Yeah, see that? Jordan said hello. Jordan's one of us now. Let's begin.
Colonization of Africa.
What is the colonization of Africa?
Well, it's an event that happened in Africa between the 1870s and 1900. Unlike the Jollof Empire, you won't be smiling too much, old Africa boy. You're about to experience your first spoonful of colonization.
What is colonization?
Whoa, hold on, man. Come on, man. Come on, seriously? You think I'm just gonna make this whole presentation to not talk about colonization? Of course I'm gonna talk about colonization. You just gotta wait. So I'm gonna pass this on to Jordan to explain.
Colonization is basically when a powerful country or kingdom inhabits another place, controlling it in power and allowing it to establish itself in an area and have influence on the resources and people around them.
So basically, it's when the big country comes to the little country and says, that's mine now. Okay, now you might be wondering, how did any of this start at all? Well, that's a good question. But most importantly, I need to get this video to 15 minutes minimum, so I'm happy to explain. Alright, so it started around 1840 when European countries decided to trade along the coast of Africa, but never really went into the land. By 1870, that's when Africa wasn't exactly having the best of times. I mean, around 10% of Africa was controlled by European countries by then. And in the 1870s, all the colonies were still only near the coast. The main territories at the time were Angola and Mozambique, ruled by Portugal, the Cape Colony, ruled by the UK, and Algeria, ruled by France. But as you know, colonization soon became, well, out of hand and a bit out of control and upsetting for Africa. Now, you may be wondering, why did this happen? Basically, with the Industrial Revolution exploding in popularity, the main motivation for the colonization of African countries was European need for African resources. Some of these resources included gold, palm oil, cotton, diamond, and rubber. Also, European countries gaining control over the Suez Canal meant it would be easier to trade with Asian countries such as China and India. Many Christian missionaries went to Africa to promote their religion and preach it to Africans, destroying many previous beliefs or spiritual values they may have had prior to this. What the Europeans thought they were doing, or rather their excuse for this, was that Africans were inferior and more unintelligent, and that they did this to educate them and enlighten them on how to be civilized. I'm not saying that was a lie, but that was an absolute lie. Basically, European countries thought that the more countries they colonized, the larger their armies would be and the more power they had. Many European countries at the time were arguing over who had the largest share of land and whose land had the best resources. What did they do about this? Well, they decided to come up with the Berlin Conference.
What's the Berlin Conference?
Well, it was a conference that included 14 countries organised by Otto von Bismarck, who was the Chancellor of Germany at the time. The main countries involved in this conference and the countries that got the largest share of land included Britain, France, Portugal, and Belgium. Now, quick question. Do you think any African countries were involved in this conference? No! Of course no African countries were involved in this conference. The 14 countries included were Germany, Austria-Hungary, Belgium, Denmark, France, Great Britain, Italy, the Netherlands, Russia, Spain, what the heck? Sweden, Norway, what even is that? The Ottoman Empire, and the United States. Oh, and Portugal, you can't forget Portugal. Van Bismarck? You can't just steal from African countries without consent from African countries. Well, I mean, you can. I mean, it's what you did. So France went to Africa and said, hey, can I colonize some of you? Africa said no, but France colonized Africa anyway. They went on to invade a lot of West Africa, as shown on this beautiful map I've made using brushes and Google Earth. Then Great Britain went to Africa and said, hey, can I colonize some of you? Africa said no, but Britain colonized Africa anyway. Britain took the largest chunk of Africa, which included Egypt all the way down to southern Africa, as shown on this Absolutely majestic. Like you can't get any better than this, lads. Like honestly, this map is just no competition, lads. I'm sorry, right? No competition. Anyways, yeah. So they took around this bit of Africa, which, if you look, is quite a fair amount. So then Belgium came to Africa and said, "Hey, can I colonize some of you?" Africa said no, and guess what happened? Yes, Belgium colonized Africa anyway. Well, they did take a fairly large chunk of Africa, not as big as Britain or France did, but around the central part of Africa over here. Have I mentioned how just amazing my map is? Like, just look at this map. I mean, honestly, this is. I could sell this for like 50 mil. Like, if you want it, okay, hit me up, okay? I can sell this to you for a reasonable price, okay? Oh, and then Portugal came over and said, "Hey, can I colonize some of you?" Africa said no, and oh my god, would you believe what? I just can't believe what Hey, what do you think happened? Yes, would you believe it? They colonized Africa anyway. They invaded this bit. And this bit. Yay, fun. Now, you may be wondering, what about the Africans? You know, the people that lived there. I'll tell you what, it wasn't very fun at all. Hey you! Are you a normal, law-abiding African not inconveniencing anybody? Are you sick and tired of those bloody Europeans coming in and stealing everything? Do you want it to stop? Well, too bad. You're a slave now, by the way.
Breaking news, this just in. King Leopold II commits absolute genocide in the Congo, killing over 5 million Africans and also chopping their hands off. And they call the Africans the uncivilized ones. Today, I'll have the pleasure of interviewing a real-life breathing African. The breathing ones are pretty hard to find these days. Anyway, moving on. All we have to do now is look for one. Oh look, I found one. Hello, small African child. What brings you here today? Ah, the silent treatment, I see. Alright. So why have you decided to interview with me today?
I didn't decide to have an interview with you. You came to me.
Ah, of course, of course. So, what are you trying to achieve in this interview?
I'm not trying to achieve anything.
Pardon me?
I want you to go away. Now!
Okay, I will.
Thank you.
But just some few last questions, please.
What?
What effects did King Leopold II of Belgium have on the Congo?
He killed millions of people and cut off hundreds of people's hands, including mine.
Ah, so what effect does this have on you?
I have no hands, man. Jesus Christ. What more of an effect do you need?
Ah, well that's not very handy now, is it? See what I did there? Handy?
I hate you so much.
Oh, okay.